The second basic rule of doing a good search is that once you've come up with your terms or concepts that you would like to search, you need to think up alternative or related terms to describe that topic or concept. Many times when it comes to an idea or a topic, there may be more than one way to describe it, such as when it comes to pressure ulcers, as you can see before you, there are three other ways to describe a pressure ulcer. This will be true for other terms as well. Now back to our question. When we explored this question earlier, we determined there were two concepts or terms that we wanted to search: hand washing and hospital-acquired infections. But when we searched them, we only found 30 articles in PubMed. The reason for this is because when it comes to searching, one term does not fit all, and many times you'll have to use more than one term in order to ensure that you're getting as much of the information as possible. Largely this is true because different databases are intended for different audiences, and therefore different terminology is used to describe the same thing, as you could see from the 4 different ways to discuss a pressure ulcer. This difference is largely determined because of the perspective and background of people. So you must think, how is someone thinking about or approaching a patient, and also the background. Many times people have problems doing a search because they're not as familiar with the topic as they should be, and there are different strategies that you can use to uncover alternative terms that could be useful to your search. Now back to our terms or our concepts. If we were to think of alternative terms for these two concepts, we may come up with lists that look like this. All of these are terms that are used to describe the same thing. And if we add these to our database search, what we may find is that by adding them, we'll increase the results, which will allow us to be more confident that we're finding everything on a topic. Now, let's go back into PubMed and do just that. Put the alternative terms with the original search. You'll notice here is hand washing and hospital-acquired infections, and we had received 30. So this time, let's take nosocomial infections and put it with hospital-acquired infection. We're going to OR these together, add them to history, and then do the same with hand washing and hand hygiene. And we're going to OR those together, add them, and so here's my hand washing group and my nosocomial infection group. And I'm going to add those two together, and this time I'm going to AND them. And what you're going to notice is instead of 30 articles, I now have 2,435. And I would much rather go through and be able to make a decision with a broader group that I can further narrow later than a small group in which there isn't much there to narrow, and I've seemed to limited my options. As you could see, adding extra terms or alternative terms to your search does help to enhance your search. But you may not always be able to come up with alternative terms on your own. Some good sources or resources to turn to are things like articles you are already aware of on the topic. Many times these articles in describing the concept or topic will use terms that you may not be familiar with that you can then add to your search. Point of care tools like First Consult and UpToDate are also good for this, as well as government sites like Medline Plus and PubMed Health. They will all provide you with alternative terms. Google Scholar is also a good place where you can find articles that may be able to help you come up with alternative terms for your search. Coming up with alternative or related terms is just a good practice when it comes to searching the databases. Because when you're searching, you must keep in mind that one term does not fit all when it comes to doing a search. The different databases are intended for different audiences, such as PubMed is largely biomedical literature and is focused at doctors or medicine, whereas CINAHL is focused at nursing and allied health. Therefore, because they have a differing perspective when it comes to addressing a patient, you may find that they do not address the same concept using the same terminology. Therefore, it is going to be vital that you be able to come up with different terms to describe the same thing. And when it comes to your background, you may find that you're somewhat limited in doing this. Because of that, you may need to come up with strategies on how to find alternative terms when they're not readily available to you. Looking at things like articles you're already familiar with, using Google Scholar, or using one of the point of care tools like UpToDate or First Consult.